short guys can't get laid because women have a preference for taller guys. And actually, if you look up this study and blah, 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 it's like, bro, did you even watch the video? Like, you're commenting on the same video. The video addresses this. I don't think any one human is meant to read 30 dumb things a day. It can be a little frustrating when people say, like, man, you're so lucky, you get to just work whenever you want. And I'm like, fucking do it too. Let me help you. Like, I'll tell you what to do. Nah, you're just lucky. I can't do that too.
Yeah.
Drink alcohol once a year.
And then you fuck yourself up. You go drunk driving and go to jail.
Let's start with the sexy stuff. I think you did 100 approaches on the street. You did a bunch more in bars. You did a bunch, not really approaches, but you talked to girls on dating apps. How many girls did you sleep with in that 12 weeks?
I think something like 10. I actually don't have an exact count, but I could check it.
You're close to the record holder, right? And you say that so casually. I'm pretty sure 10 in 12 weeks is the record, isn't it? Or is it 12 in 12 weeks?
I think Renee did 12, right?
Yeah. I think, honestly, in the group, you were focused almost as much on business and shit like that as you were, and even opening up to the rest of the group as, getting laid. Was getting laid even your number one goal?
Yeah, it definitely was. It was definitely my number one goal. And I spent a lot of time on it. Sometimes it was, really overwhelming, even. Mm-hmm. Just because there's just so many variables and shit going on.
Okay, wait, overwhelming in what way? Overwhelming in terms of too much time spent on it? Overwhelming in terms of not getting a return on investment? Feeling like you're not making progress?
No, so too much time spent on it. And when I was in Mexico, it kind of because I'm just a fucking gringo, then it was I was a mini celebrity. And then I just had so much attention basically. So it was difficult to manage that. It was a kind of a look into being a hot girl or something.
Yeah, you realize this is there will be so many people listening going, oh my God, this poor guy had too many options.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of guys in the group when you were in there who had the same problem. And one you probably know, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he would want to, but the guy who's the personal trainer. I don't think you were in the group when he first joined, but he basically went through this period where he had never had any luck on Tinder because his picture sucked, and he's ridiculously attractive and ridiculously muscular. We got him to take some decent pictures, and he got just so many fucking matches that he had an anxious breakdown. He's like, oh my God, there's too many girls, and I can't reply to all of them, and I feel like a bad person. What am I supposed to do? I can't go on 5 dates a night. There isn't enough time. And he was actually getting himself almost worked up over the fact that he had too many options. And it sounds fucking stupid to someone who's never been in that position. But I get it. It's even just in terms of approaching and shit, it does start to get to a point where you can see how it could almost become, and tell me if you went to this place, where it can almost become a distraction from the rest of your goals, or almost like self-medication, almost like an addiction. I went through that myself. Did you feel like you were getting close to that? I'm spending too much time on this sex thing and not enough on the basics of everything else?
Yeah, it could definitely, I don't know if I would say it was an addiction, but it's definitely an easy distraction. Just if you want to go on just Bumble or Tinder, it's it's not so different to just going into scroll Instagram or something.
Yeah, man.
So in that sense, it could be distracting at times. So I would basically what I do now is that I don't use my phone for the first part of the day. And I also, right now, I'm not using the apps actually, just because now my situation is pretty decent. And I want to kind of focus on something else, and then maybe I'll install them again later when I have even better pictures or something. But it takes so much of your time.
Let's go deep on that, because this is something that I myself have started doing. I even said to you when you were in the group program, I said, dude, I've started putting my phone onto grayscale, because I think it was you that did it first. And I was like, damn, that's a good idea. I last night deleted almost every single fucking app on my phone. I've turned it into the dumbest phone of all time, the opposite of a smartphone. There's nothing on there now except for Google Maps, Chrome, which I'm thinking of even disabling the internet, text messages and calling, and that's about it. I've taken everything else off. You were the trailblazer in terms of that shit in the group. You were the one who was like, hey, I think I got a dopamine addiction. Hey, I think I'm doing this shit too much. Hey, I think I'm going to do this less. I suspect this is going to be one of the next, I'm speaking a little bit about myself here. I suspect this is going to be my next evolution, and I'm going to start doing a bunch of content on this shit, because I think that we, especially with getting laid, we can get very caught up in the process of getting laid, and almost it just becomes the next addiction. like porn or like Netflix or whatever else, and you almost just get, and I've been in this myself, you're just sitting there checking the app over and over again. Tinder, have I got some matches? Am I texting girls? All that kind of shit. And you do stop living your fucking life.
Definitely. Like I said, it just gets really fucking overwhelming. And so actually I kind of went through phases with it where like it was pretty strong, and I didn't like in some I was traveling around a bit, so I didn't necessarily have like social circles and stuff like that, which I have where I am now. So it was like, well, okay, it's kind of like you're kind of looking towards it for connection in a way, right? Like that's basically what it's replacing. Like what we really want is to talk to people in real life. If I'm like on a date or with friends, I'm not checking my phone. Like I'm fine. But then if you don't have that for a period of time or something, then it becomes really fucking easy to just like seek out that connection in something else.
For sure. And I like that you touched on like connection, because I think at the heart of it, even when we talk about like getting pussy, getting laid and all that kind of stuff, we're doing that for a reason. We're doing that to connect with other human beings. If it was literally just about getting laid, that's not that hard. That's just like go and have a bunch of one-night stands. It is about that deeper shit. And I, at least, again, talking about my own experiences, I definitely have found in the past that sex has almost gotten in the way. It's going to sound funny. I have gone through periods where sex has gotten in the way of intimacy. And I have periods where I'm like, shit, I think I'm behaving the same way someone with a sex addiction would behave right now. Especially when I was looking at porn, like the periods where I've looked at lots of porn, I find myself just replacing porn with sex and going, okay, well, I don't want to look at porn, but I'm going to go and have a bunch of casual sex, meaningless casual sex. Like, I'm not doing it because I like the actual girl or because I think she's attractive or because I think, like, she is attractive, but I'm doing it as an addictive behavior. I think it's very tempting to fall down that pathway. I don't think you went down that pathway massively because I think you're self-aware enough to catch yourself, but fuck yeah, man. I can see a lot of us opening up about that kind of like sex behavior or sex addict behavior. And some of the guys in the group have talked about that shit, yeah. Unless you want to say something else.
No, I didn't want to say anything.
Now that we've just covered that we don't want to talk about sex, let's talk about sex.
Yes.
You had a fair bit of sex. You felt like you scratched that itch. Do you feel like you finally have that, like, you know, that magical abundance? Like, I can move cities, I'll be fine, I'll be able to find that sex, that intimacy, I have the skills, I know what I'm doing? Or do you feel like you still have a little bit more to go?
I think I can definitely still improve like a shitload. So there's lots of room for improvement. But I'm not really that nervous about it. Like, I know I'll be able to make it happen in any place, basically. Like, I kind of embrace the idea of, like, you know, it's a numbers game.
Sure.
Like, that really helps you not take things too personally. And, you know, well, okay, I'll just, like, hit 100 more, like, hit the numbers. And then if that doesn't work, just do another 100, you know, and eventually you'll get there.
I'm smiling because you just left the group. And I just added a new guy, like a one-on-one client to the group like 2 days ago. And I had a big discussion with him because he was getting bogged down and getting like upset over a couple of girls rejecting him. Man, the number of times I've had a conversation with someone where I say exactly what you just said, this is a numbers game. Like, you're not going to get every girl. You need to go and hit on 100 girls and you'll get laid. I think you say it so casually because you get it. You, pal, get it. But I don't think you realize, or maybe you realize, how huge a thing that is for you, for guys like you, for guys like me, for the rest of us to understand that concept that, like, I get unlimited tries. I know it's a casual, like, it's said so many times that we all sort of take it for granted. The average guy outside doesn't know that. He literally thinks this girl who's right in front of me that I really like and I have a crush on, if she doesn't like me, I'm fucked. Or this girlfriend that I'm with that I don't really like and she's not that great for me and I'm not that great for her. If we break up, I'm going to be lonely for the next year or two. Like, that's the average person's existence. And it is such a, I think sometimes we take it for granted. The numbers game, like, saves us. And we see it as such just a normal thing. But, like, fuck, man. There's a lot of beauty in that.
Yeah, I think it definitely saved. It's just kind of a hack to it. Like, you still, of course, if someone rejects you, like, harshly or something, it will still hurt, you know?
Sure.
But it's like, I don't know, you get over it pretty quickly because you just think, it didn't have anything to do with me. Maybe she was just not available, whatever the fuck. So that like really made things easier somehow. I kind of, embraced it a little bit before. It's not like the advice is not out there, but it's more like internalizing it more and more. And I don't think I like completely internalized it yet. Like, but
sure,
like to a much larger extent than before.
And I think you're someone that already gets this because you had a lot of experience with business, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I think you're someone that understands, like, you'll always be a work in progress. Like, you're not ever going to be maxed out. There's always more work to be done. Just because you haven't fully 100% embraced the numbers game shit. Maybe you'll be working on that for the rest of your life. There's always more gains to be made. And I think you have a pretty good grasp of that.
Yeah, I think so. And you still go through like ups and downs. Like now, I just had a period where it was like really difficult to approach anyone on the street. I'm gonna work on that more this week. But then like 2 weeks ago, it was just fucking easy. So it's like it's interesting, dude, how it kind of goes up and down.
This is the thing that people who haven't done a lot of approaches will think. They'll always ask, how many approaches do I have to do before my approach anxiety is gone forever? And I'll say to them, bro, like I went out talking to girls like 2 months ago and I was like nervous as fuck. And they're like, you, Andy, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, yeah, but I hadn't done it in like a year or two. So of course I'm going to be nervous. This shit, like, it's not that approach anxiety ever goes away, or it's not that your fear ever goes away. After a certain amount of time, you just stop giving a shit about it. You're like, well, I got to do it anyway. Like you feel the fear just as strongly. You feel the anxiety. You feel that voice that says, don't do this. This is scary. You can't do this. And you're like, shut the fuck up. I've done this like 8,000 times before. I'm just going to do it again. So it doesn't go away. You just really stop listening to it. You're just like, I don't have to be beholden to that voice. I can just say, shut the fuck up. I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah.
And it's funny how as you go through the process, like your brain can come up with like new excuses.
Yeah, no.
So for example, so I had like a really success streak last week. So on Saturday, I approached 2 girls and I went on dates with both of them. So last Saturday. So like that never really happens. And then somehow my brain was like, oh, you're the fucking shit. And then it's like, oh, but if you approach someone now and then you get rejected, then it's like, now you're not cool anymore. Or like some bullshit. So I just like worked up this like weird ego about it. And then it's like, now I'm like overcoming that again. It's like, there are so many weird layers to it.
Yeah, it's there's always like that new excuse. I did a video called Approach Anxiety Has Many Different Forms. And the point of the video was, you think these are all like rational reasons not to approach. They all come from the same thing. They all come from fear. They sound rational when you say them. But you say them out loud to someone else and that person goes, are you fucking insane? What are you saying? You shouldn't approach because you just did 2 approaches and they went well. That doesn't make any sense. Go and fucking approach. But when it's in your head, it makes sense, or it sounds like something that you should listen to.
Yeah, and what I also found, there's like different ways of talking yourself into it. So in some states of mind, it helps me to go like, oh, don't be a bitch, just fucking do it, right? But in this state of mind, like it hasn't helped at all. It's like it kind of made it worse. And then like now I need to go back and okay, just like full on kindness. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then like it's like different cycles. It's kind of interesting. And then I guess you become more and more self-aware of like what will work in this case. And you don't have to say, you don't have to say like, don't be a bitch in a like bad way. It's like, oh, come on, don't be a bitch. You can do it. It's like there are different tones of voice. I get what you mean. What I mean, yeah.
I have this question a lot where people say, should I be really tough on myself? Like, should I say, come on, pussy, talk to girls? Or should I be really kind to myself and say, like, you got this, you're brave and strong, you can do it. And the way I frame it is like this. Imagine you have a toolkit, like a toolbox, and in that box you have 50 different tools that you can use to make yourself talk to girls. One of them is saying, hey, come on, pussy. Another one is saying, shut the fuck up and do it. Another one is saying like, no, I'm going to do this. I can do this. I believe in myself. Another one is you just going outside and walking around for an hour and maybe you talk to girls, maybe you don't. Another one is listening to motivational music. Another one is going out with friends. Another one is saying to your friends, I will give you $50 if I don't talk to any girls. Another one is saying, hey, friend, can you buy me a beer if I talk to a girl? Like you come up with 100 different strategies on how you can do this. And I like what you said, that the more you do this, the better you get at figuring out which one of those will work. That's all experience really is, or confidence really is. Like I, Andy, am not better at talking to girls than you or anyone else. Okay, maybe I am, but I'm not significantly better. What I am better at doing is knowing, okay, I'm in this kind of mood. Okay, I shouldn't yell at myself today because I'll just have a breakdown. Or I'm in this mood. Okay, today I need to just get fired up with heavy metal music and yell at myself and go and do it and crush the world. You get better at understanding your emotional state and knowing what the remedy for that is. And that just only comes with experience and time, as you already know. So anyone listening, it's like you will just figure that out by doing it a lot.
I think so too. And one of the tips you mentioned, like the give money to a friend, that one really works. So before I actually joined the group, so the long story short is like I came out of breakup, and then for a month I decided just to do nothing, and then I was like, okay, let's get into this approaching thing again, and then it was like so fucking difficult. Like I just walked around for so long. And then in the end, I just sent 1,000 euros to a friend, and I was like, "Don't give this back if I don't approach someone today."
Yeah.
And like, if it's your first time trying to approach someone, like it's really fucking difficult. But if you can put like this like hard leverage on yourself, then you can really kind of hack that. Like you can really, because you will most likely do it. And if you don't, well, sorry, you lost your money. Try again. But that really fucking works. And it's like, I like to do this thing where you kind of put leverage on yourself. So if you're in a situation where it's difficult to approach, for example, but you're with a friend, then, okay, the approach is like, let's say, that's like level 9 difficulty. But what's level 1 difficulty is saying to your friend, hey, I'm going to approach that girl over there. And now you look like an idiot if you don't. So you put leverage on yourself, and then there's a much higher likelihood that you're going to do it. So that's kind of the same principle. They're like, here's some money. If I don't approach a girl, don't give it back. Well, it's going to be pretty stupid not to do it now.
And you can also do it, I like that you talk about leverage. You can do it in a, what would you call it? Like a rewarding kind of way, which is what I used to do. Like you literally say to yourself, so in your way, you're saying, if I don't talk to this girl, I'm going to lose $1,000 because I've already sent my friend $1,000 and I don't get it back until I do. I also have done the exact opposite, where I will tell myself, if I talk to one girl today, I get to go and have a really nice steak, or I get to play video games for 2 hours, or I get to do this or that, or this or that. And one of the things I used to do all the time, I still kind of do it actually, is if I knew there was a girl that I was going to be sleeping with, like let's say I'm seeing a girl and we've already organized Thursday, 5 p.m., she's going to come over, we're going to have sex. I would tell myself I only get to see her if I talk to a girl today. If I don't talk to a girl today, I don't get to see her. And if I do talk to a girl today, I get to have the best time ever with her. I'm going to fuck her brains out. We're going to have the best night. It's going to be amazing. And I would use women, like sex, as the reward for doing the work, like whatever it is that I was working on. I still do that now, actually. I just do that with like business stuff. So I'll say, I have to record 3 podcasts this week, and then I get to sleep with this girl on Thursday. We're going to have a great time. It'll be a threesome. It'll be amazing. It'll be all this stuff. I only get to do that if I do my 3 podcasts today. And using that leverage in a rewarding way. That shit works so well, man.
Yeah, that's also great. In this case, the one difference is that, well, obviously it's the opposite, but also it's that you need to hold your own boundary, basically. Like,
yeah, sure. Yeah. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work if you don't stick to your own promise. Yes, I agree.
Exactly.
So keep your promises, guys. Don't fucking. I think that's always been pretty easy for me, but I have had a couple of people ask me that question. So it's good that you pointed that out. Like, how do I stick to my own boundaries? Maybe what you said works best. Send your friend $100 or $1,000 if you have the money. You don't get it back till you do the thing.
Send something that like hurts to lose, basically.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. And don't bankrupt yourself, but because you don't want to do so much that, you guys will figure out the happy medium.
You get my house if I don't do this.
You get my house. I'm going to chop my nuts off, and I'm going to, you can sleep with my mother if I don't talk to if I don't talk to 50 girls today. So slight tangent, still about girls. You, at some point in the group, you had a little chat with us about ending things with girls and like how what the right way to do that is, how to do it, like cut them off or cut it off without breaking their heart and all that kind of stuff. I think by the end of the group, you felt a little better about ending things with girls. Like, what changed? What did you learn to do better? Because this is something that comes up a lot. Like, how do I end things with a girl without like fucking being a dick?
I think it was just like an overall like resistance to confrontation in general, or like, it's not that comfortable necessarily to do it. So it was just,
Sure.
what helped was just posting about it, getting some feedback, and like, okay, I know this is like the right thing to do, which I already kind of knew before, but um, just getting that confirmation from the guys in the group helped. And then, then again, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this now. Then there's leverage on you. And then you just kind of did it. And then the second time is easier. It's still like not super comfortable necessarily, but it's just honesty, basically. That's what it is.
Sure. What did you think would happen? And the reason I'm asking is I had to go through this whole transformation myself where I never felt comfortable ending things with girls. And I ghosted quite a few girls, or I would just let it kind of fade out. And then if they hit me up 3 weeks later and said, hey, can we hang out again? I'd be like, no, I'm sorry. I don't think it's working. But I wouldn't like proactively tell them. I would wait for them to ask me. And for me, it was exactly the same as you. I didn't like confrontation. I don't know what I thought would happen. I guess I thought if I ended things with girls, they would call me an asshole or tell me I was a bad person or something. Like, what were you worried about happening? Or was it just that you'd always avoided it and never really thought about it?
First, I would not necessarily, like, it was more like if it was clear that they wanted to meet again or something like that.
Sure.
And they were maybe messaging me about it. Because sometimes it also just kind of fizzles out, like both of you don't say anything, and I don't have any issue with that.
Sure. Say, I just didn't like confrontation. Did you think they were going to say something bad?
Yeah, or just like hurting their feelings and being the source of hurting someone's feelings. But of course, it's bullshit, because it will hurt them even more if you go on. It's just like kind of a nice guy kind of thing, I think. It's like
it's not just a nice guy thing too. It's like women. Most women are like this, where they don't want to. Most women will not proactively end things with you. They'll just either ghost you or let it fade out or any of that for the same thing that you're saying here. Because they're like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. And exactly like you said, it's like, it's worse not to tell us, just fucking tell us. So I always had it in my mind, I want to do that I want to be the one that blazes that trail, the trailblazer, the guy that starts ending things with girls proactively, so maybe some of the girls will get the hint and start doing it back. That was honestly the reason I started doing it, because I was like, I'm sick of girls ghosting me, and I'm obviously ghosting them. Fuck this, I want to change the game.
Yeah, it just makes everything so much more simple.
Yeah, man.
And you don't have all these like loose ends and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, it feels like you've closed each chapter or each door, and you know in your mind, okay, I'm not seeing Sarah anymore because I ended things with her. Okay, Jessica, I've definitely ended things with her. Okay, Emily, I told her that I'm not going to see her again. I never liked that feeling of I don't know who's there and who's not and who's going to message me and who isn't. And, Sarah hits you up 3 weeks later when you've forgotten about her, and she's like, are we going to hang out or what? And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Sarah again? And you feel like a dick again. You know what I mean? I like just ending it, and then I know in my brain I only need to think about these 2 girls or these 3 girls. Okay. And all the rest I've dealt with. I've been polite. I've told them. For me, it was like pragmatism and wanting to maybe change the ghosting game and stop people ghosting each other.
Yeah. And it also helped to see that no one had a bad reaction.
Yeah, like no one ever has a bad fucking reaction when you're polite about it. No one's ever like, you're a piece of shit. How dare you fucking stop seeing me? They're like, okay, thank you so much for
the worst one was a girl who just said, okay.
Yeah.
Like, well,
no,
okay.
Bro, I had one girl say, okay, if you think that's the best decision. And that was like it. That was the worst reaction I've ever had. Okay, if you think that's what's best. And I was like, I do.
Yeah, this was literally just like, okay, like the letters. So it was not like, well, okay. And then that was that.
Guess it's okay then.
Yeah.
Let's segue again. I need to come up with better segues. I'm tired, so my segues are not great today. But let's talk a little bit about opening up to the group and being vulnerable. This was the thing. When I said, do you want to come on here? You said, what are we going to talk about? I said, what do you want to talk about? You said this. This was the thing you wanted to talk about the most. Like when you first came to the coaching program, you had this idea, or I guess this feeling of like, I want to act cool, or I want them to think I'm cool. how hard was it for you, or how much of a challenge was it for you to like open up and basically, because what the program is for those who don't know, basically I get you to pour your fucking heart and soul out. Like, we don't hold back. And I tell everyone, like, if you post every day, if you share every single thing that's bothering you, share every single struggle you're having, like, don't fucking hold back. If you hold back, we can't help you. It's like going to a counseling session and saying nothing. It doesn't work. How challenging was that for you? And what did you do to overcome that? Because that was, you know, your biggest barrier at the start, at least.
Yeah, so I actually knew that this would be like the most difficult thing, because I've been in a couple other like mastermind groups and stuff like that, and it was always like a lot of them were fucking great, but the reason why I wouldn't get all the results I wanted, I would get something out of it. Yeah, that's basically because I was not willing to be vulnerable. Like, if there was something I did not know, I would just pretend to know it and like try to figure it out on my own. And the way that I kind of overcame that is I actually like, because I knew that would be the biggest challenge, I like preemptively said to you on like the intro call, or like I think even in the message, like the form you fill out, like, this is like what I'm most scared of not happening. And it's not as scary to just write it out, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so that really helped. And then just seeing the other guys who were able to do it, basically. And then just the first time you do it, you get a good response.
Yeah,
and,
I think that first good response is super important too.
Yeah, exactly. And since those other times, I've also become better at it in my just personal life with friends or family or whatnot. So I was already like working on it a little bit, but it's still definitely like it keeps being a challenge, but like step by step.
I'll tell you, it gets like infinitely easier the more you do it. And this applies to everyone listening. And this is like a problem that comes up, not even a problem, but like a challenge that comes up quite a bit in the coaching program. There was a guy just before you joined. I don't think you were in the group when he finished. And he was very much like a wallflower, as in he would sit off to the side against the wall and he didn't want to participate. Well, he wanted to participate in the group, but he was scared of like sharing. In his case, he didn't want to be like a burden. You know, he's like, you guys have all your problems. I want to keep my problems to myself and not bother you guys. And actually, there was a guy in the program who was in there with you. Maybe you know who I'm talking about, who was in there at the same time as you, who a couple of times said, you know, I'm sorry for asking questions. I don't want to be a burden, all that kind of stuff. It's such a common fucking thing. I think especially with men. I don't think women have this as much, because I think women understand, like, if you talk about your problems, a problem shared is a problem halved. Like, the other girls can help you work on it. But I think for guys, because we are pretty good at working on things by ourselves. Not perfect, not amazing, but pretty good. We could get, everyone listening could go the rest of their life never talking to another soul, and you'd still be okay. You wouldn't be happy. You certainly wouldn't be efficient, and you wouldn't be maxed out, but you could do it. I don't think most women could do it. And so it's very easy to think, well, I've always been the lone wolf. I've always done shit by myself and I'm cool and I handle my business and I do it all myself. Why would I start being vulnerable now? That's pussy shit. If anything, that would be a step backwards. That would be me admitting I have problems. And it's like, man, how can we fix your fucking problems if you don't admit that they're problems? So it's this catch-22 where it's like, I understand stoicism and wanting to be strong and brave, because I was like that too. I still am like that, but at the same time, you got to share those fucking struggles. Otherwise, they can't be fixed.
Yeah, basically, it's just a fear of showing yourself, right? So if you're vulnerable, well, then it's like you're in a vulnerable position where you could get hurt, basically. And that's scary. I think that's like the biggest part of it. For me, it was not necessarily that I felt like a burden. I just didn't want to show, like what it's been in the past anyways, that I didn't want to show that there's something I don't know. You know, like I want to, that's another theme for me. Like I always want to look smart. Like, oh yeah, like this person is smart. So like I built up an identity around that basically when I was in school, I think. And that's like, I don't know, it's just ego. It's literally just ego.
Yeah.
If you let that get in the way of your learning process, well, then it's like you stomp yourself. You stomp your improvement.
And one of my favorite things that I say to people is I say, do you want to be that thing or do you want to be happy? So in this case, I would say, do you want to be smart or do you want to be happy? Because while you're over here being smart and knowing everything, I'm just going to show that I'm a dumbass, but I'm going to be happy. There's a guy in the program right now that we literally had this discussion about, where he was talking about he doesn't want to go outside and talk to lots of girls because in his mind, he's like, guys who walk around talking to girls all day are losers. He doesn't believe that, but that's like the limiting belief in his head that he's trying to get rid of. And I said, well, while you're being cool and being a winner, I'm going to be a loser and go outside and talk to girls and get laid and be happy. So you can be the cool guy who's too cool to talk to girls. We'll be all the fucking losers getting laid and having fun. And that argument applies to everything with ego. You know, like, do you want to be smart or do you want to be happy? Do you want to be cool or do you want to be happy? Because I tell you what, I'd rather not be cool. I'd rather be the most uncool person ever, but be happy versus, you know, you being Mr. Cool over there and going like, but fuck, man, I don't have any friends. I don't have intimate. I know you have friends, but you get what I mean. It's like, I don't get to participate because I'm too scared to get in there and participate because I might look stupid or I might look uncool. It's like, yeah, but while you're sitting over there, you do look stupid. The person who's scared to ask for help looks stupid.
And people also see it, like, you can also see who's like taking action in the group, right? Like the people who are active and posting. That's like a pretty good sign that people are, you know, working on themselves. And what also happens if you have something holding you back, but you're not sharing anything, people kind of know anyway.
I know. It's like you're so busy trying to look cool and everyone's just like, man, this guy doesn't have his shit together. He must be really struggling if he hasn't posted in the group or he hasn't asked for help. And you're sitting there going like, God, I hope they don't think I'm stupid or I'm uncool. It's like, bro, we already know. You haven't posted in 5 days. We know something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other reason that guys like hold themselves back with this shit and avoid being vulnerable, you know, maybe it wasn't so much this for you, but I get a lot of guys that say this. They're like, I don't want to look like a beta male. Like, I want to look like I'm stoic and alpha and I know what I'm talking about and I have my shit together. And I'm like, James Bond. The way one thing I always bring it back to is like, none of that shit really matters. Like, was your goal, you know, you can answer this or other guys can answer this. Was your goal to like look cool and smart or was your goal to achieve your fucking goals? And every time I say that to someone, they're like, oh shit. Actually, I just want to achieve my goals. And it's like, then achieve your fucking goals. And one of the steps to achieving your goals is being vulnerable and risking not looking cool and not looking smart and looking like an idiot. So let's do that. When you bring it back to like, what do you actually want? Most people admit, yeah, you know what? Maybe I don't really want to be smart or I don't care as much as I care about achieving my fucking goals. Maybe looking smart and looking cool is like number 3 and 4 on the list. But number 1 and 2 are getting laid, making money, you know, having friends, all that shit. It's like priorities.
Yeah, it is priorities. And like you can say you're like consciously you know that, but you have like a whole layer of stuff that's like, no, fuck that. Fuck that goal. Like I just want to, you know, look cool.
Yeah, it's like we always have some people call it stories or narratives or limiting beliefs, or I like to call it programming. Like you have your societal programming or your whatever fucking programming it is, you have those layers on top of your actual truth. And a lot of the books that I read talk about this. Loving What Is by Byron Katie is a great book about this that basically says, who would you be without all those stories? Like if we just took all those stories away for a second, what would you actually want? Who would you be? Yeah. Would you be happy? Would you have the things you want? And then you go, oh shit, you know what? If I'm not trying to be cool and smart, I just want to make a lot of money, or I just want a lot of friends, or I just want to get laid a lot. And that's the actual truth. That's the shit that you want, not all these stories that are sitting on top distracting you.
But you can also say, okay, I just want to get laid a lot. Well, what's the why do you want that? Well, maybe you actually what you want is connection.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Going deeper on that. And if you don't, a lot of people don't know the answer to that. Like they will say, well, I don't know why I want to get laid a lot. Okay, fine. Then just get laid a lot. And you'll figure that out in the process. You don't always have to know the deeper meaning, and sometimes you don't. Like when I first started going to the gym, I didn't really know why I wanted to go to the gym. I just thought I was supposed to. And then through starting it, I was like, oh shit, my self-esteem goes up when I look better. I feel better. My body feels healthier. I feel like I'm living again. I feel like I'm fighting aging. I feel like I get more compliments from friends. I feel like people take me more seriously. I feel like women like me more. I feel like I like myself more. Those are the reasons. But sometimes you don't know those till you start working on the goal. and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's true. I felt the same with like style actually. So I never really cared that much about it. Like I didn't dress like a slob necessarily, but I wouldn't care that much. But after working on it in the group, it's like, okay, I actually feel better when I look better too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and there's definitely a correlation there, which is
I went through the same sort of phase at the start where I was like, my fashion sucks. I need to improve it. I don't really know why I'm doing this. I don't want to do this. Maybe it'll get me laid more. Who knows? You go through it, you do it, and you're like, oh shit, like people take me more seriously now. I like myself better. I take myself more seriously. Yeah, a lot of goals, you do them because other people recommend you, and you know you kind of want to do them. It's not until you actually get started that you find meaning in it. I think that applies to lots of hobbies too as well. Like you start a hobby, it doesn't mean anything to you. You do it 2 or 3 times and you're like, oh shit, this hobby's really deep. I like it.
Yeah, and it's a sort of self-care in a way. It's like, okay, you show that you care about yourself. Like it's like when you're the way you present yourself, it says something about you as a person. It's like that you're not saying out loud. You're not like, hello, person, I respect myself. You're like, but you can tell that by the way that you're dressing, and the way that you're walking, or your posture.
You can say the same thing
shape.
about like weight. Like if you have
yes, exactly.
Fat. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
That's like, that's one thing I often think. So like, it's like I try to catch myself because I know it's like me also judging. But I'm like, if I see someone really fat, I'm like, okay, they probably don't respect themselves that much, right? And there's of course, like that's not always the case, but sure. Like I definitely catch myself having this like thought, and then I'm like, oh, well, there might be like whatever reasons, and they might be working on it, whatever. But this whole thing, or if you dress like in a really baggy shirt, or it's just like dirty and stuff like that. Like, why do we kind of just avoid homeless people?
Yeah.
I think it has to do, it's with the presentation, right? Like how they present
it's your
themselves.
resume. It's the resume that you're putting out to everybody else. Yeah, it is important. People sometimes get angry about that shit and they say that's shallow, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it is what it is. Are you going to argue with reality? Are you going to wish it was different? It's not different. So play the game, play within those rules, improve your outward appearance, improve your resume. The rest of the world will take you better or treat you better. I think everyone listening agrees with that general premise. I don't think there's anyone here listening going like, I don't want to improve my looks. That's shallow. It's like, you wouldn't really be watching self-improvement content if you felt like that. This wouldn't be the content for you. How helpful was it with you posting in the group like every day? I know you had a little period of time where you didn't post every day, but for the most part, you posted in there every single day, which is something that I recommend to everyone that signs up for my coaching program. And I recommend everyone on my forums do. I recommend everyone in general, basically, makes a log every day of what they've done, what they're going to do tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. How helpful was that for you?
In general, it really helps because it's kind of like journaling. You get to write out your thoughts a little bit, and then you can, when you write them, then it's like you think things through. Yeah. And then you come to the next like logical conclusion and you find the next step rather than just thinking about it inside your head. Like it makes everything more concrete. And when you have the group, then you might also get extra feedback that you wouldn't have gotten on your own, especially if you're just thinking about it inside your own head. So in that way, it really helps.
And I feel like you really need that on two occasions more than anything, maybe 3, but 2 occasions you really need that feedback from other people. Again, whether that's my coaching program, whether that's the forums, whether that's friends or something else, a different forum, whatever. You really need that feedback. One, when you make a mistake that you don't realize is a mistake, like you're doing something really, really, really dumb that's going to fuck you, and someone else goes, oh my God, stop that. And you go, oh shit, oh, what's wrong with that? And they go, no, stop. Okay, we need to change it like this. This is why you don't do it like this. And you go, oh shit, you just saved me weeks or months or maybe years of suffering or struggling or heartache or time or energy. And then the other time you really, really, really need it is the one time when people don't want to post which is when they're in a bad mood or when something goes really wrong or when they haven't done anything that day and they go, well, what's the point in posting? I've done nothing. They're just going to say that I've done nothing today. I know I've done nothing. That's the day you need to post the most, the day you don't want to, because they'll get you, everybody else will get you out of that rut immediately and pull you out and pick you up and say, come on, tomorrow's going to be better. If you don't keep a journal or if you don't share that journal with other people, yeah, you can go weeks without actually getting back on track. That's how I used to be before I ever posted. I would just go weeks and I would just be struggling. I'd be depressed. I'd be looking at porn. I'd be binge eating. I'd be watching TV. I wouldn't go outside. I had weeks where I just wouldn't go outside at all. I would just get Uber Eats delivered and I wouldn't leave the house. When you have to post on a forum, people will say like, bro, you didn't leave the house today? Fuck, man, we got to fix that. Tomorrow, just go outside for 5 minutes. And you go, okay, I will. And you get back on track immediately. It saves you so much goddamn time. It is so goddamn mandatory that you share this shit with somebody else.
Yeah, that's a really fucking good point, actually. It's very true. It's very, very true. And also, like you said, people will, like the mistakes you don't realize you're making. Like, for example, if you tend to frame everything in a negative light. Yeah. Or you tend to be like really apologetic. Exactly. That's the thing. That's what I mean. You can tell a lot about the person by seeing the way they write something or the way they talk. And it's just like so ingrained into you how you do things that you're not realizing it at all.
Yeah, dude, so many of my coaching clients, again, one of the guys who just signed up now, a lot of what they write is very negative. And then when I point it out to them and say, you know, everything you've written has been really negative, right? And they go, what are you talking about? No, it's not. And you're like, bro, you didn't know that? Have you been talking about like this for the last 5 years? And they go, this is how I've always been talking. And you go, this is why you're not happy. Holy shit. We get to fix this now immediately. And you fix it within, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You can get them to switch it and stop being so negative. I was like that myself. I used to be super fucking negative. I used to complain a lot and get depressed. Other people point that shit out to me and say, hey man, like stop the negativity. Like no one's going to sit here and listen to you bitching. We'll help you with the problems. We're not saying don't tell us your problems, but no one's going to listen to you having a pity party. When I made that switch in my mind, you're so much happier when you stop looking for pity and start looking for solutions. And sharing it with other people forces you to do that. Because when you tell this story in your own brain, you can be the victim. Like when you're telling yourself, oh man, today sucks, my life isn't fair. You can be the victim and no one's going to tell you to shut up. Because you want to hear that stuff yourself forever. You can be the victim to yourself forever and you'll love it. You'll just keep saying it. But if you say that to someone else, after 5 minutes, they're going to say, dude, this is boring. Shut up. Man, I got problems too. I don't want to hear you bitch about yours. Share your problems with me, but then we got to find a solution. I don't want to hear you bitch about your problems and then not want to find a solution. We got to fix that. And so they will force you to fix the problem within like 5 minutes of listening to you because they're not going to listen to you forever. They don't have that much patience.
Yeah, man, I think self-improvement really starts once you realize that you cannot be a victim, or once you realize you are not a victim. Like, yes, because that's just up until that point, you think you're helpless.
Yep. It's
like you have to realize that as soon as possible. It's like the first learning in anything. It's like, okay, you can change. That's how it was for me as well, actually. So when I was like, I think 17, one of my good friends was like, hey, I need a gym partner. Join me at the gym. And before that, I was just like super skinny. Mm-hmm. And then I joined the gym and I realized, hey, shit, I can change my body. Like, what else can I change? Like, I have control. Like, okay, I fucking suck at being social. Like, let me try to work on that. And then, wait, you don't have to just go to university and get a job? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you can literally do whatever the fuck you want, which is so fucking amazing. Like, you don't have to do anything. You can just choose. Yeah. You can, like, join a fucking rainbow gathering and live there for a year or whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, you don't even need money. Like, you don't have to follow anything. Like, you can just completely decide what you want and you can make it happen, most likely.
Yeah, which is another way of saying like every problem has a solution, or everything that you're unhappy with in your life, you can just fix it. You can just figure out how to fix that.
100%.
There's nothing you need to keep tolerating ever.
Exactly. If you don't want to go to the same job every day, you don't have to figure out how the fuck you're gonna not do that? And like now, for example, if I have, for example, my mom just visited me, and we're trying to plan it for a while, and I was like, oh, just come this week, and it's like, I can't. I'm like, why not? Oh, but I have to go to work. I'm like, what? Oh, you can't just. Oh, right, people can't just do that. Like, because most of my friends are like, if it's like, does this week work? No, but this one I can do it. Like, they can just move shit around because they set up their lives in that way that you're free. It's like joining your coaching. It's like, yes, I'll do it because I want to do it. It's like there's not like all these weird barriers of like, oh, but I have this and that. Of course, I understand there are different types of barriers, but it's like, the location independence and all these things. They're just like, in my opinion, things you need to get sorted if you want. Like, they're just like so essential to living a free and happy life.
To happiness, yeah. I haven't done a podcast or a video on this yet. I've been planning it out. I just have to sit down and do it. I want to basically map out my idea of what a free or a happy man looks like. And it would probably apply to women too. Like, you just have to change a couple of things. But, one of those things is basically a location independent income where you can work whenever the fuck you want. Ideally passive income, but if not, that's fine. I don't pay the bills with passive income. I do it through coaching. A body that you're proud of. So, muscular, lean, all that kind of stuff. The ability to have sex as much as you want, whenever you want. And that doesn't mean having sex with 100 women. You might want a girlfriend that fucks you and that's it. Like, great. Whatever that looks like for you. A social life that, you have X number of friends a week that you can hang out with and whatever that means. Inner peace. So you can sit there and just be okay by yourself and not have all these anxious, neurotic thoughts in your head. I want to map out like my idea of a happy free man. And it sounds to me like you're already on that pathway. Like, you're already pretty deep in that pathway. But I think let's segue now that you've started bringing this up. Let's talk about business shit. Let's talk about location independent incomes. Let's talk about like designing your life, your work life, however you want. And if you want to work 4 hours a day, do that. If you want to work only on Thursdays and Fridays, do that. If you want to work only in the afternoons, do that. Did you set out to design your life like that? Or did it kind of just, did you start your business and then the further along you got, you're like, oh, I can work less and less and I can work whenever I want? Was that like firmly in your mind, I want it to look like this?
So the way it kind of happened is that I had an internship in another country and it just fucking sucked shit. Like, it was the most boring shit. It was just like sending letters, like data entry, like there was a fucking number on the paper. I'll put it in the computer. I did a warehouse job like that. Just data entry. Yeah. So that like really sucked. So I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And I was talking to my colleagues. There were these two like lovely women, very sweet. They're like my supervisors. I was like, oh, so did you want, like, what did you want to do? Like, they were like, well, I didn't really want to stay here, but then and for context, I was 20. I was 19 turning 20 when I worked there. And then they were like 35 and 40 and they'd been there since 20. So one of them, like when I was born, she started working in the company and she's still there. And they're both like, yeah, I didn't really want to, stay here, but then you get like a little bit of money and then you upgrade your house. And then you need the money. And I'm like, you get like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, what? Like, why don't you just, okay. And it was like, I learned their job in like 3 weeks and I didn't even speak the language. And I could do some things like faster than them because I knew how to, use like Alt and Tab. They were like old, so they didn't know how to. So it was just like how the fuck do you stay in this for that long? So then I started like looking for kind of exit plans. And I found this like business mastermind, which taught you how to start freelancing and eventually turning it into a business. So I started with that. And then, the goal was to not have to go to a 9-to-5 again. Yeah. That was my goal when I started my coaching too. Like, once it started getting off the ground and I got to a point where I thought maybe I can pay the bills from this. As soon as I got past that point, I was like, I'm never allowed to work another job in my entire life. I'll be homeless before I work a job.
I'm way past that point now. I'm not going to need a job ever again, but I get that feeling. It's like, I don't want to work that grind.
Exactly. And at some point I made like a couple €100 in a month, like doing writing jobs of work. And then I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to quit and like try to do it full time. That was like, I was so fucking happy. I remember just riding my bike home, just like with the biggest smile on my face. Like I never have to go fucking back there. And then I didn't find any new client for like a month. And I was like, fuck, I'm fucked. And then
you did exactly what I did, where it's like you just dive in. You're just like, I hope this works. I'm quitting my job. I hope this works. That's what I did.
Yeah. I was also living in like a big student dormitory. So there were just like parties all the time. And it was like, it was really fucking difficult for me to focus. But like, so it was like, that's like one of the biggest struggles I've had is just like being productive without a boss there. Or without being in there. That can be really fucking challenging. I spent like years
you have
on
to
that.
be your own boss, but the problem is you're your own accountability partner as well. So like if you don't work one day, no one's going to yell at you.
Exactly.
Like there's no one keeping you accountable. Is that something you've gotten decent at? Like are you pretty productive now? And what did you do to get that happening?
I'm a lot more productive now. It still has like fluctuations.
Sure, I do too, yeah.
But sometimes it would be like I just wouldn't do anything for weeks, or it would be like, oh, I'm just checking stats or some shit, you know, like not doing any real work.
Excuses,
yeah, like that was like a really big challenge, especially on the occasions where I didn't really enjoy the work. So I don't enjoy all the work like that much. But now it's like, okay, I get into a flow. I'm enjoying it. I have a different role. I don't have to do all the shitty tasks. But I think it's also because, for example, in school, things came really easy for me. I would never have to do homework or anything like that. Like I would just show up and not like know the answers because I would follow the lesson. But it was like just sitting down and doing shit. Like I was really bad at that. Like I was not very hardworking. So that was the biggest challenge for me for sure. Like I wanted all the good outcomes, but like it was so difficult for me to put in the work that I knew I had to put in.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how much work it takes to set up, like especially when you're starting your own, hustle, or whether that's a hustle or a full-time business. I think people underestimate how much work it takes at the start and how long you have to grind for before you're actually able to fully pay the bills. Like how long did it take you from when you first quit that job to when you could comfortably pay the bills?
So basically my income for the first few years was really shit. I averaged like €1,000 or something for the first year. Then the next year, the average was like, I don't know, 1,300. Then it went to like
month, yeah,
per month. But basically what's happened is that it's just risen every year with like between 20 and 40%. So now it's like, now it's really comfortable, especially for where I live in the world. It's like, I don't need to spend more than 20, 30% of my income.
Nice.
So that feels really comfortable, but that's only like the past year or two that it's become like where I say, okay, there's no stress about money.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that's the rough timeline for me too. I was coaching for maybe like 3 years before I was like, okay, I'm comfortable paying the bills now.
Yeah.
And I think you can do it much quicker than I did and probably quicker than you did.
Same, yeah.
I made a lot of mistakes. For me, I was scared of asking for money because I didn't want to like use people, which is another way of saying I was scared. And so you could definitely do it quicker. But the point that I was making is that people underestimate. They think, I've had so many people say like, oh, Andy, I want to start a blog or I want to start a YouTube channel and make money like you. And it's like, then go fucking do it. And they'll say like, yeah, but like, how long do I have to do it before I'll make money? And it's like, the fact you're even asking me that question, like, I know you're going to quit. And yep, 2 months later, you check out their channel, 3 videos uploaded, that's it. Like the number of people that I've seen start a business and just quit because they don't make $5,000 a month by the 3rd month. It's like, I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to make it rich in the first 3 months. You got to.
Dude, I quit so many businesses. Like I quit at least
for that
like 5.
reason. Was it because you wanted to make money and it didn't work out quick enough?
Something like that, or just like losing the motivation one day becomes the next day where you don't do something. And then,
Yeah.
I had my main thing that I've been doing basically since day one, or like a couple months in, like working with the same client, and we have like a really strong collaboration, right? But I kept like trying to do a few other things on this side as well, and there are so many things that I quit, dude. Like so many. I don't even know how many. But like probably like 5 that I kind of tried, and I gave it a shot for a few weeks, but then did not follow through. Like it happened to me. So
Sure,
many
but you
times.
didn't quit entirely. I'm talking about people quitting entirely and going back to the job.
Okay. No, if I had nothing to do, then I would definitely make something work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And you could say I quit things too. I was editing people's photos and doing photo shoots, and I don't do that anymore. I was like critiquing people's Tinder profiles. I don't really do that anymore. I do that as part of the coaching, but yeah, you could say I quit stuff. But the point is, like, a lot of people quit entirely and go back to a 9-to-5 job because they think the entrepreneur life is just work for 3 months and suddenly you're rich. And it's like, nah, dog, like you might be grinding for like 2 years. That's kind of the beauty of it. That's almost like what screens out the normies. It's like by the time you get to, the point where you're making enough money to pay the bills, it's like, you worked your ass off to get there. The same with getting laid. By the time you get laid a lot, you're like, I had to work a lot on myself to get here. And the average person will look at you and say like, oh, you're so lucky. You get to sleep with girls whenever you want. You get lots of sex. You're so lucky. And it's like, first of all, dude, I had to put in a ton of effort and work a lot to get here, which means, second of all, you could do this too. Stop saying I'm lucky and just do this with me. I think that's one of the frustrating things. It's not too frustrating, but it can be a little frustrating when people say like, man, you're so lucky. You get to just work whenever you want. And I'm like, fucking do it too. Let me help you. Like, I'll tell you what to do. Nah, you're just lucky. I can't do that too. Have you found that? Like people say to you, man, how do I get to your position? You're like, do this. And they're like, nah, I couldn't do what you've done. You're just lucky.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's like most people are just not serious about it.
Yeah, I know.
That's basically what it is.
I know. Because if you're serious, you fucking do it, and you don't let anything stop you, and you don't let the hurdles stop you, and you grind for the months or years that it might take, and you get it done.
Yeah, exactly. And I've given advice to a lot of people, and it's just like, just nothing happens. Like sometimes I've spent time.
I don't give advice to someone unless they show me that they're serious now. Like I don't even. Yeah.
Like I've even written out like, okay, here's your plan. Like do step 1, step 2, step 3, and then it's like, oh, so did you do anything? It's like, nah, I think like I just spent an hour like making this like really fucking detailed plan for you, and you did literally like nothing. Like like when it became like just slightly difficult, then they're just out. And it's like, okay.
That's why when I give advice, what I would do, like if I don't give I don't give advice to like email or YouTube comments or anything like that. I don't do that shit anymore. But if like a friend or someone, well, none of my friends would because all my friends are serious, but a friend of a friend, if they said, hey, Andy, I want to make some money. How should I start? What I would do is I will give them a really easy task and I'll say, hey, go do this. And then if they do that, then maybe I'll give them one more task to do. If they don't do that first task and then they ask me later, like, oh, I wish I could. I'm like, did you do the first task that I gave you? No, then I'm not even going to talk to you about my business or your business. I don't even want to talk about that shit. You're not even serious. You haven't even done step 1. Or if someone's overweight and they say, man, I wish I could get a better body. And I say, Google the top 3 gyms in your area. Go and do that. Literally just look up you don't even have to go to the gym. Just look up the 3 gyms. If they don't do that, then I'm like, I don't want to talk to you about weight loss. You're not serious. I don't want to hear it. But if they say I did that, then I'll give them one more step. It's almost like I'm expecting or I'm asking them to do something before I'll even think about helping them. And I get them to usually do 2 or 3 tasks before I even think of helping them.
Yeah, that's really smart. That's actually like, a marketing technique. Like, when you have like you have a freebie and then you have like, I think they call it like a tripwire.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So it's just like a very fucking inexpensive product. Like you pay $1 or $7.
To see if they'll even be serious enough to do that.
Exactly. And then you also, you get them to say yes. And then the next step is a little easier. So that's probably like a much better way to do it instead of just sending like a fucking long page of steps that can also seem overwhelming, I guess.
Because you'll get your heart broken, as you already know. Because you'll pour so much time and effort into it. I only know this from doing this, mate. You have no idea how many hundreds of times I helped people on the Good Looking Loser forums and then on my own forums and then in YouTube comments and emails. I probably tried to help like, let's say 500 people before I learned my lesson. So I'm fucking dumb. I took a while to learn this lesson. But after enough time, I was like, maybe I should stop. I remember saying to Imogen, maybe I should stop helping people who haven't proven to me that they're going to actually listen to my advice. And she's like, yeah, you probably should. Yeah, you're just getting burnt out and frustrated. And I was becoming cynical. I felt like, oh, no one wants to change. Everyone's lazy. And it's like, no, you're just trying to help normies who aren't that serious. They watched one of your videos, got motivated for 5 seconds, sent you an email. That's not serious. Serious is the person who's like gone out and taken action for 2 weeks and come back and told you that. Even that person's not serious. Serious is the person who does action for 3 months and then goes, hey man, or signs up to my coaching program because you have to pay a lot of money to be there, or signs up for the forums and makes 100 posts. Yeah, that person is pretty serious or reasonably serious.
Yeah, exactly what you said. I wrote something down before when we were talking about asking for help. Mm-hmm. That's actually what you just said. Like they went up for 2 weeks and did something. It's like when you're doing that daily post, for example, and you're saying, oh, I feel shit today. Here are like the 3 things I already did. Mm-hmm. Like, do you have any more suggestions? Then people are like way more willing to help you because they see you're actually trying. Yes. You're not just saying, oh, I feel so fucking shit. I'm a victim. There's nothing makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then just like waiting for people to pick you back up. That it really helps if you just do something, like anything.
Yes. Yeah. Like say what you've actually done. It's like that podcast I did where I said, stop saying what you will do, say what you have done. So in other words, take some action and then start talking. Don't talk first. Don't say, I'm going to do this or can you help me? Say, I was having a depressed day, so I got out of bed, had a shower, put some nice clothes on, and now I'm making this post. And everyone will be like, good fucking job, you did something. Or I really feel like I can't talk to girls and I feel shit about myself. So today I just walked around for 10 minutes outside. I didn't talk to any girls, but I just looked at a couple of girls. Good job, you did something. Or if you want help from a friend or something, or help from me. And I don't give free advice. I'll make that fucking clear. I've stopped doing that like a year or so ago. But the emails that I will actually read are the ones where it starts out with, hey, Andy, over the last 3 months, I have lost 10 pounds. I have talked to 5 girls. I have signed up for the forums and made 20 posts. I've done this. And again, I don't give that person free advice, but I reply and say like, bro, that's sick. That's amazing. The ones I don't reply to are the ones like, Andy, can you please just tell me the best way that I should go about talking to girls outside? Sorry, you get deleted. And sometimes blocked. Sometimes I just throw those emails in the like that person can never email me again because that shit it's lame. So saying what you have done is always ultra massively important for people to take you seriously and help you.
Yeah, it's actually, I find it so amazing that people just email you. Like I always, when content creators say that, it's like
I wish I could show you my email inbox.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you. It's like,
inbox, bro.
It's like, how do you
dumb shit too, dude? Dumb shit.
It's like the first article on your fucking website. Like you're like, how do I get matches on Tinder or something? And it's like, just like fucking look in the fucking content.
The worst is YouTube. Yeah. YouTube is way worse than any emails. I've stopped reading my YouTube comment. I don't read them anymore. I decided like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I'm not going to read my YouTube comments anymore. Like I'm done. I'm just done reading them. You know, there's a lot of really great comments on there. Any of you that leave great comments, good on you. But there's just too much to read. Yeah, no, I'm not anymore. I've decided longer. I'm just not. Like it's such a time sink. It really is. And in your brain, you think, yeah, but I'm connecting to my community. This is important. My community is important to me. And they are. But the ones that you want to communicate with or the ones that you want to connect with will find a way to connect with you anyway. They'll send you an email. I read my emails. Or they will sign up for your coaching program. Or they'll go on your forums and make waves and change their life over 6 months and then they'll rise to the top and then someone else will tell me, hey, have you heard about this guy on your forums that's kicking ass? Like the ones that are worth, or the ones that you really want to communicate with will communicate with you. Yeah, YouTube comments are the worst because the thing is on YouTube, remember that you're on YouTube. You're not on my website. You're not on the content creator's website. You're on YouTube, the platform. And so you're getting random YouTubers who will occasionally find your stuff. And fair enough, like you're on YouTube. I know I'm on YouTube's space. It's not my website. I'm on YouTube's space. And so I get random people that will just, you can tell they've never really watched like any of my content or any of like our community's contents. And the silliest ones are when I have a video addressing a limiting belief. Like I had a whole video that was like an hour long about how short guys can get laid. The whole video goes through everything about how if you're short, you can still get laid. It's not a deal breaker. Here's like 5 clients who've done it. Here's like blah, 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 blah. That video, I will get comments, like long fucking comments explaining like, but short guys can't get laid because women have a preference for taller guys. And actually, if you look up this study and blah, 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 it's like, bro, did you even watch the video? Like you're commenting on the same video that like the video addresses this. Anyone who wants to be a content creator, do it because it's fun so you can see the crazy emails.
Yeah, it's like people just read the headline. And that's it.
Yeah.
And they think they know what you're saying.
To be clear, that's not most people. Most people are fucking fantastic. It's like 1%. But the problem is that 1% spread across enough videos and enough emails and enough Reddit replies and enough fucking everything. That ends up being like 10 or 20 or 30 silly things a day. And at some point, you're just like, man, this is just like getting in my headspace. Like this is almost just too... I don't think any one human is meant to read 30 dumb things a day or 30 negative things a day. They're not all negative. Most people are pretty nice, but you're not supposed to read 30 really dumb things a day. I think it does genuinely bring you down. It's like that saying, you're the product of the people you surround yourself by. And I think even when you're just reading text on a screen, I don't think it helps. I'm not going to read children's books because I'll dumb my brain down. And I feel like, YouTube comments can feel like that at times. So can emails and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mark Manson talks about managing your informational diet or something like that.
Yeah.
Or what does he call it? I can't remember what he calls it. Something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I really believe in that. It's like comments on Facebook, that's like the equivalent of McDonald's or something, you know?
Yeah, and then, man, it is.
Yeah. Then if you're listening to, I don't know, long form content that's informative, that's like healthier, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's not doesn't have all the jump cuts and whatever, like all these things.
Yeah, there's more thought that has gone into it.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be throwaway content. Like, none of my videos are meant to be throwaway content. But you're right, like a YouTube comment or a Facebook comment is just something, half the time when people type that stuff, they don't necessarily believe it. They're just feeling it emotionally in that moment for 5 seconds. And then if you came to them the next day and said, do you believe what you wrote yesterday? They'll be like, oh, no, I was just joking, or I was just trolling, or I was just angry, or like, yeah, I kind of believe that, but not really. Like, and the problem is when you read that, it's hard to tell that. You don't realize that person is like in that emotional state. You can tell yourself that, but your brain still processes it as a rational comment until you then tell yourself, no, this person's probably emotional. They're probably not happy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and it's like you can't, so I forgot how to say this. It's like the town's fool. Like, is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, it's like some people on there are just going to be like, they would have been the town's fool, but you don't know because they just look normal. They have a profile picture. Else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you don't know not to take that person seriously.
Yeah, this is the problem with like the anonymous internet. Reddit is the worst for it because there's not even like a profile picture or a name. It's just a username. YouTube is pretty bad too. Because even with a profile picture, half the people don't have one. You know nothing about the person. And half the time, if you go and read their other comments, you realize, oh my God, this person is an idiot. Like, or this person is like not why would I ever listen to anything they say? But when you first read that first comment, your brain processes it exactly the same as all the other comments. That is to say, you take it at face value. You think of it as a rational, intelligent comment until you go and read the other comments by the same person and go, oh, fuck, why am I going to listen to this person? This person's unhappy. They're depressed. They're an idiot. Like, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the internet's a weird fucking thing, man. And I'm not even remotely popular. Let's make that goddamn clear. I can't imagine what it would be like to be someone with 100,000 followers on, YouTube, 100,000 subs, 1 million. Jesus Christ. If it's like this with 2,000 subs, fuck me. Like, what is it like when you 50 times that? I got to assume this 50 times is, Yeah.
You'll find out, right? In some years, you'll be there.
Hey, well, I won't be reading the comments, I'll tell you that.
No.
I'll go in and read one a year. Maybe I will. Maybe once a year. I'll do a day where I just read. I'll get Imi, my girlfriend, to screen them, and I'll say, like, give me some of the dumb ones, some of the smart ones, and I'll just go through and react to some.
The funniest ones.
Yeah, we'll find, like, the most interesting ones. Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll do that. And that's like a happy medium. Yeah, that's a way to read them, but only like limit it to once. It's like you watch Netflix like once a year or something.
Yeah.
Drink alcohol once a year.
And then you fuck yourself up. You go drunk driving and go to jail.
Hey. I feel like
the worst story, right? It's like, oh, I'm like 10 years sober. Like, let me just have one drink.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's a shockingly bad, but a hilarious place to end the podcast. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. But it was really cool being on here. If you want to do coaching with Andy, do it. He really cares about you.
Are we really ending on that? Let's end on that. Let's fucking do it. Well, I appreciate you coming on. This was
man, it was great.
Before you go, what are your plans for the future? Like, what's your next mission? What's your next, plans with girls, plans with business, plans with social, mental, whatever? What are you working on?
So for girls, like my goal the whole time was now just improving and getting better with girls. And then eventually I want to have a situation that's similar to yours, where I have a loving girlfriend and then we, can see other girls together. I had a small taste of that in my last relationship, and it was really awesome. Yeah,
it brings the two of you closer as well, because it feels like you're doing it together. It feels like a couple's thing.
For sure. So that's kind of my, you would say, end game with that. But we'll see. I'm still pretty young, so it could be some years from now. Mm-hmm. And with business, just fucking growing it. Just keep making more money, and that's the plan. Being even more comfortable. I don't think I will start spending more, but it's just like, I don't know, you can always do better. And I wanna have apartments and real estate and shit like around the world. Just more assets. That's what I want to do with that. Other things right now, I'm working on the thing with the information diet, basically. Doing a lot, not doing a lot, but doing less of phone time and stuff like that. Trying to replace some of those negative habits with more healthy ones, like just reading or going for a walk or calling a friend. I made like a list of things I can do instead.
I have to. Yeah, because my brain keeps wanting to go for like YouTube or my phone or something, and it's like, no, what else have I said I can do instead?
Yeah, and then of course also just like inner peace, happiness kind of thing that you also mentioned before. I think your list of what you said a happy man needs was pretty good. I think I'll write one for myself as well. That's like pretty nice.
Yeah, it has to be your list. Has to be the things and you got to put in your own like values and principles and shit like that. Yeah, but they're all pretty similar. Like most people want roughly the same things.
Yes, so that's it.
Do you want to shout anything out? Do you want people to find you? Do you want to stay anonymous?
I mean, you can find me on the forum. It's just like PAW.
PAW for Pow.
Yes.
Pow you right in the pussy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on, Captain Pow. This was a lot of fun. We
started
off a little slow, I feel like, and then we got super fast at the end. We both picked up.
Yeah. It's like warming up almost.
Yeah, we got to warm
Hopefully it was still interesting in the beginning.
Oh, it will be. If it's not, I'll just delete the whole fucking podcast and then just put up this bit right at the end. All right. Thanks so much for coming on. Everybody else, go out and crush your goals.